partner of Evolving Educators, LLC. You can learn more about all that we do at Evolving Educators by visiting our website at www.evolvingeducators.com. I thank Think Through Math for allowing me to come on and share my insight on this very important topic, and I hope you gain much from it over the next 30 minutes. Again, I'm BradCurrie. I will be the moderator of this webinar today, and Scott Rocco and Billy Krakauer are the other founding partners for this organization, Evolving Educators, LLC. Feel free to check out our books. Billy Krakauer has a book coming out very soon called Connecting Your Students with the World. It's coming out in September, I believe. And check out my book, All Hands on Deck by Corwin Press, Tools for Connecting Educators, Parents, and Communities. Upcoming events that we have from Evolving Educators: the Connected Educator Certification Course, Chromebooks in the Common Core, iPads in the Common Core, EdSite events, and the Google Bootcamp. So visit www.evolvingeducators.com for registration details. A little bit about me. You can follow me on Twitter at BradCurrie. As he said before, I am a coach, teacher, and administrator. Over the past 15 years, I've done all three, and I'm also a proud parent and husband, co-founder of SatChat, an online Twitter discussion that you can join us every Saturday morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll actually be live from ISTE this Saturday in Philly, so please join us. And you can learn more about me by visiting my website at www.bradcurrie.net. Webinar objective: to come away with a working knowledge of what it takes to research, start, maintain, and grow a successful STEM program. Now, I think it's very important here to focus on the next generation science standards here for just a moment. You know, they're very soon going to be coming out and really bring to light the importance of STEM. I think it's always been an important concept, an important part of the science curriculum and subject areas throughout their curriculum, to be honest with you. I think as students enter the 21st century workforce and contribute to society as productive citizens, I think it's important to really think about the connection that STEM has with the next generation science standards, and how STEM is integrated not only within the various subjects within science, whether it's physics, chemistry, those sorts of things, but that they are part of other subject areas as well. And I'll talk about that throughout the webinar. So let's get into this here. Quality number one: school leaders are forward-thinking and are committed to the entire scope of the STEM initiative. I think this is crucial. I was very honored to be a part of a STEM program, a successful STEM program, several years ago in the Reddington Township School District, and was able to see it grow. And once I left the Reddington Township School District, I was very adamant and passionate about bringing it to the Chester School District, where I am now, in particular Black River Middle School, a 6th grade building. And it's a big risk, and it's something where it changes the culture of your building. It changes the schedule of your building, because this is an additional class that you have to figure out where to put it in your schedule. So I think you have to be forward-thinking and committed to bringing this into your school or building, and really bring people on board, administrators, parents, teachers, students, Board of Education. Say, hey, you know what? This is an important subject that students need to be exposed to, and how can we best do this given the resources that we have? And you can see here in this picture, this is a picture that was taken a few months ago outside. You have one of our students, I believe in 6th grade, involved in a solar power project where they had to build either a solar powered car, solar powered house, solar powered boat. We even had kids build solar powered Ferris wheels, which is pretty cool. Our phenomenal teacher, Mr. Andy Gray, provides students the opportunity, the freedom, the autonomy to build what they want, and I think that's important to get kids interested in STEM. And it goes back to, you know, what Todd Whitaker always says, it's people, not programs. You know, yes, we do have a curriculum, and yes, we use different sorts of programs or kits, what have you, but it comes back to the people. It comes back to the teachers like Andy Gray. It comes back to the school leaders in our building, not only myself, but Mr. Bob Mullen and our superintendent, Dr. Christina Van Wert, and many others who support these sorts of programs. It's very hands-on. We have kids going outside and testing out the programs and doing those sorts of things. But you know, it's important that the curriculum is hands-on and that you have the resources available to you. That not only you continue to focus on the curriculum, but you have the resources, the money to buy the equipment. We'll talk about that throughout this webinar. That curriculum is very important, but the resources and the support from your Board of Education, having the money to bring in the equipment you need to have a successful program. To start it off, it's not cheap, but as time goes on, you're able to use those resources again and find grants and what have you. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but definitely it's people, not programs. Having that right teacher, we'll talk about that in a little bit as well, having that right teacher in the classroom working with the kids. Quality number 2, school leaders identify a teacher or teachers who can mesh strong pedagogical teaching practices with innovative tools to meet the needs of diverse learners in a STEM environment. And you see here in this picture, we have a 3D printer that we obtained from a grant. Actually, we got 2 3D printers, and it was a risk. You know, number one, where are we going to get the grant? Number two, what are we going to do with the 3D printer? Over the past 2 or 3 months, we have been exploring this 3D printer to get used to it, to have students design and build and print out their products, so that next year we can fully implement this 3D printer in our computer application class. So this 3D printer won't even be used in our actual STEM curriculum, if you want to call it that. It's actually going to be integrated in our computer applications class. And so you start to see STEM spilling over into different subject areas. But definitely being able to connect with students, making them a part of the process. Here we have a student filming the 3D printer, taking pictures of it. This student also helped us set up the 3D printer. He had experience with it. He's a fanatic of 3D printing. He has one at home. So we tapped into students' expertise. I think that's important as a school leader to let students take control of their learning, be a part of the curriculum, and let them take ownership of all that STEM and everything else that goes with it has to offer. Embracing failure, just with this STEM story, or I'm sorry, with this 3D printer story, it didn't work right away. And so trying to problem solve, figure it out, eventually, as you can see here in this picture, it began to work, and we were able to figure that out. The entire STEM program, we see it all the time. If you follow us on Twitter at Black River MS, you'll see all the different projects that students are doing in the STEM class. And I'm visiting the classroom, or they're out working in the hallways or outside. We're able to see that, you know what, okay, this kid's built a solar powered Ferris wheel. but it's not working. Why isn't it working? Is the sun not out? Is it too cloudy? Did something not work right as the kids were building it? Those sorts of things. And the kids have embraced failure and knowing that it's okay if something doesn't work at the first try. And I think a STEM program really brings that to light, that, you know what, kids can try things, they can build things, they can work together, and it may not come out exactly the way they want on the first attempt. So let's go back and try it again. And I think that's great preparation for life. So that bringing in a STEM program allows for that. Utilizing technology, I think, is critical with a STEM program, and does a lot for students. We have Chromebooks in our school, or one-to-one Chromebook, and you know what? It's utilized in the classroom for students to research their STEM projects, for students to collaborate on Google Docs for their lab reports and those sorts of things, and to also draw and design and all the technology and computers have to offer. And it's really about making connections. The kids making connections with themselves, making connections with the curriculum, making connections with technology and what is possible in the world of engineering. Quality number 3, school leaders take advantage of their PLN, or personal or professional learning network, in order to provide the necessary resources to make the program the best it possibly can be. You know, if you are to go to, and I will now here in just a moment, go to Twitter or Facebook, you will see some great things going on in the social media world. You know, for example, we'll check out here on Twitter the hashtag STEM. We'll check it out here. You check out the STEM hashtag on Twitter, you'll come up with all sorts of stuff, resources, thought leaders, ideas. It's just unbelievable. From Legos, you can see here a Lego, and all sorts of things going on here. Why women in STEM may be better working in India. There's current event articles, fun projects to do with your students, people sharing things. So I really encourage you to check out the STEM hashtag on Twitter. Another great hashtag is STEAM. You integrate the art aspect into STEM, and there's so many different resources shared here as well. And you can go into Google Plus and do the same sort of thing. There are STEM and STEAM communities that you can be a part of, as well as on LinkedIn. And it's just amazing. And this is how I stay on top of best practices. In fact, today I was online and I was looking at Laura Fleming, who is a teacher in North Jersey and a phenomenal media specialist and makerspace extraordinaire. And she had tweeted out her podcast on the Maker Movement that is on the BAM radio network. And I know Laura very well, but I didn't know that she was doing a podcast show. And so on the way home, I downloaded it onto my podcast app and was listening to a few shows on the Maker Movement. So those are ways that you can stay on top of current trends in STEM and STEAM, and they're very, very beneficial. Getting back to the slideshow here, another great resource is Cybraryman. Cybraryman, you go to cybraryman.com. Jerry Blumengarten runs this website. He has a web page for every single topic known to the educational world. And he has, if you go to his website, you go in the search box and type in STEM or STEAM, you'll come across some great resources. Quality number 4, school leaders provide time to staff so that the curriculum can be developed and assessed. I think this is very important to not only provide time and stipends for teachers to write the curriculum for STEM throughout the school year over the summer, but to also go observe colleagues. And it may not be in the actual STEM field, all right, or maybe it will be. But you have a lot of things, procedural, classroom management stuff that goes on in your STEM class. You need to lean on your colleagues and to go observe them. And school leaders need to provide time for STEM teachers to go do that so that they can stay on top of safety issues. I know STEM teachers, I often will encourage them to go into science classrooms to see how the labs are run, to see what safety protocols are put into place, that sort of thing. Writing is a big part of our STEM curriculum. We want kids to write about their experiences. And so going into language arts classes and to connect with language arts teachers so that we understand the important writing components that need to be integrated into the STEM classes. We need to stay on top of those sorts of things. Visiting schools. One reason why we have such a great program is we went and visited other schools to see what they're doing with their STEM classrooms. And now we have people coming to visit us. And so I think sharing is a huge part of leading and supporting a STEM program, being a part of it. Sharing not only in the physical world, but the virtual world. We talked about social media before on Twitter, sharing things out, lesson plans, unit plans, ideas, pictures, videos, links, those sorts of things. And attending events is important. I think school leaders need to support their teachers and having them go to professional conferences, professional growth opportunities. You see here a picture of Ed Camp STEAM that goes on every summer here in New Jersey. Those are the sorts of things that you want to support your teachers in going. And as a leader yourself, you should be attending these things as well, so you have an idea of what's going on. Back in the winter, I attended a maker workshop, makerspace workshop, and got some great ideas, because next year we're going to implement a makerspace in our library. So myself, our librarian, a few others went to this. So you need to show that you're committed, that you support your STEM initiatives in school. Quality number 5, school leaders secure monies and grant opportunities to sustain and improve a STEM program. Key points here, where do you look for grant programs? Grant Wrangler is a great clearinghouse for STEM grants. All right, just go to grantwrangler.com or just Google Grant Wrangler, and you'll come across a plethora of grant opportunities. And one that we came across was a BASF grant, and I forwarded it to our science teacher. He applied for it, and sure enough, we received monies to integrate a meteorology club and a weather station. And so those opportunities are there. So if you want to start a makerspace, you want to start a small STEM program in your school or an after-school club, those grants are out there. Local options. Tap into your PTO, tap into your Ed Foundation and other local organizations that may have grant opportunities for you. They may be small, but it's a starting point. If you want to buy some materials for your program or for your makerspace, they're definitely available. And corporate grants, as I mentioned before, BASF and other companies like ExxonMobil will have grant opportunities available so that you can bring into your school or district. Moving on to quality number 6, school leaders support extended learning opportunities outside of the normal school day. For example, informal makerspaces, summer STEM camps, and after-school clubs. All right, so it just doesn't, the STEM program just doesn't exist during the day. It can exist before, during, and after school, on school property, at home, at other locations. And Laura Fleming talks about this in her book, Worlds of Making. best practices for establishing a makerspace for your school. If you're looking to start a STEM program or a makerspace in your school, this book will give you the framework for doing that. And I think it's really important that students are able to tinker, that they're able to build and play and connect and collaborate and learn in a stress-free environment, not worrying about grades and and standardized testing, and just be able to think and play and try things out. If it doesn't work, okay, we're going to go back to it again, that sort of thing. We have a summer STEM camp that's very popular that people will pay for to go. So try that out in your school or district. A summer STEM camp that can be a week or 2 weeks where kids can build boats, can build airplanes that they can try and test out. They go outside and other sorts of things. Engineering at its finest and kids having fun during the summertime. Quality number 7, school leaders promote an environment of risk-taking and failure. A key component of successful STEM programs is living by the belief that failure is an option and there's nothing wrong with it. You can see here we actually have a racetrack in one of our hallways in our buildings where kids design and build CO2 cars and race them. So not only are they collaborating, building, and they have a unit of study for this particular project, then they get to have fun. They get to race them and figure out why was mine slower than my peers, why didn't it work, what do we have to do to go back to the drawing board to make this car work, and so that we're able to race it on the track. It goes back to risk-taking. It goes back to a growth mindset, and that failure is fine. That, we're going to build this car, but it may not work out the first time, and that's fine. And this is all easier said than done. It starts from having a supportive board of education, having a supportive superintendent, having a supportive building level administrators, having students that buy into it, parents that buy into it, and everybody coming together to make this picture that you see here a reality in your school. That's pretty neat. Quality number 8, school leaders fuel STEM programs with top-notch equipment, such as 3D printers, robotic kits, and racetracks. All right, so these are the sorts of things that you need for a successful STEM program, but not the only things that you need. All right, you can think outside of the box. I know some great STEM educators out there like Kevin Jarrett and others who think outside the box and bring in materials to really support their STEM programs and their maker spaces and everything that they're doing in class. And you can see here that kids are building robots in our schools from a kit. All right, and not only are they building robots, but they're linking it to social studies, where they're programming these robots to go across the map to kind of mimic or show the westward expansion and the moving of materials and resources across the United States over time. So that was pretty special, and to see this happen every marking period in our building, in the hallways, throughout our building, is pretty special. Quality number 9, school leaders stress the importance of writing across the curriculum, particularly in the STEM setting. This is very important, that school leaders not only focus on the science, the technology, the engineering, the mathematics part of STEM, but the writing part of it as well. And having access to Chromebooks or iPads or laptops really helps our kids reflect on their experiences in STEM, but also to capture data and to examine primary source documents, to write lab reports. It really helps research what they're doing. If they're studying aqueducts, or they're studying solar energy, or they're studying robotics and things along those lines, having access to the World Wide Web, finding information and helping them with their project and collaborating with peers is really important. Quality number 10, school leaders support an interdisciplinary approach within the STEM curriculum. Okay, and we talked about this before with STEAM, integrating that art component is critical. We talked about the robot project and the westward expansion on the map. Well, kids are also incorporating art. They're drawing the map, they're painting the map, those sorts of things come out again and again. Social studies, language arts. You know, you can see here a picture of the finished product of a map that these kids created and how the robot's going across the map to show the westward expansion. So that's pretty special. So it's really critical to touch on all subject areas, not only STEM, technology, engineering, and math, but all subject areas. And that goes for any subject. I mean, I think we need to incorporate as many disciplines as possible so that kids see that what they are studying in school matters and it's connected all the time. Quality number 11, school leaders tell their school STEM story. What do we mean by this? It's important that schools share their stories, that districts share their stories, not only with STEM, with everything, that classroom teachers share their stories. How do you do this? Most of us do this through a website or a web page. But over the last few years, educators have found that the power of Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, blogs have really helped with promoting the stories that are going on with STEM. Okay, and you can see here a picture of our Pinterest page. Anytime that our school is mentioned online and on an online newspaper, I will receive a Google alert. I'll take that, I'll put it up to our Pinterest page, and it really celebrates everything that we've done in school. My most powerful device is my cell phone, my smartphone. As I'm walking through the building, visiting classes, seeing all the great things that are going on, I'm able to capture that on my phone and share it with the world, share it with the parents on our Facebook page and our Twitter page. So I think that's really important, especially if you want to get a STEM program up and running and supported for years and years and years, well into the future, that you tell your story so that people can really see the neat things that are going on a daily basis in our schools and in our classrooms. And don't underestimate the power of a newspaper reporter. Every once in a while, call up the newspaper, your local newspaper or your state newspaper, and say, hey, we have some great things going on in our school. You know, come out and do a story. Come out and do a story on our STEM program. And 9 times out of 10, they'll come out and do it. So don't be afraid to take that risk. Quality number 12, school leaders understand and build support with engaging females in the STEM field. Key points here. ExxonMobil and many other organizations support and introduce a Girl to Engineering Day. They'll actually come in, if you sign up for it, they will come to your building with scientists and experts in the field of engineering, and they will run programs, activities for your female population. That's pretty special. There's a great website, great organization out there, Girls Who Code. Check that out. A lot of great resources. And Square, the company Square out in California, runs a code camp for high school students, particularly females, and getting them, again, more engaged, more involved. It's not just about science, technology, engineering, math. You know, it's that technology part of it. You're looking at coding and those sorts of things. That's a part of the STEM initiative as well. That's something we can't forget. Quality 13, school leaders involve stakeholders in the STEM program. You know, it's important that school leaders encourage community members, local organizations that are involved in the STEM field to bring their expertise to the school, physically or virtually. Google Hangouts, Skype sessions. Kids love that. You can project it on the big screen. You bring in a scientist or an engineer, and you have them talk to the kids about their field and what they do, and that'll get kids even if it gets 1 or 2 kids interested in that field, then we've done something. And so leveraging the power of technology to do that is very special. Having a career day or having a STEM career day is something that I'm seeing more of in schools, and that's important as well. And just promote and inform your program virtually. The more you do that, the more that these sorts of organizations and community members, people will see the neat things you're doing, and the more they will want to contribute and volunteer their time and make that program even better. And finally, quality number 14, school leaders understand the importance of forming a school or district-wide innovation team to support STEM program. Key points here, if you have an innovation team, is that you want to meet on a consistent basis, whether it's 4 or 5 times a year, on a monthly basis, having all stakeholders. A lot of times we leave out the students. That if you're going to have an innovation team or some sort of committee, students need to be a part of that committee because they're the ones that are directly impacted and directly involved in all the decisions that we make. And we want to hear their side, their perspective. How can we make this program better? And I think that's a critical part of that. Developing a plan. What's your plan? For this innovation, not only with STEM but with computer applications and all subject areas for that matter. How are we going to stay innovative, engaging, and providing relevant learning opportunities for students? So I think having a team, either at the district or building level, will be very important if you are to maintain a successful STEM program. That voice, stakeholder voice, is critical, and being a school leader, providing those opportunities will go a long way in promoting the success of all students. At this point in time, we're going to move on to our Q&A session, and so I'll turn it back over to Heath at Think Through Math.
Thanks, Brad. We appreciate your presentation. We did get a few questions, and if anyone else would like to add questions, you can once again do that just by going on to the right side of your screen. There is a questions panel that you can expand and type your question in there, and then I will read them back to Brad. The first question we have here is something that you touched on during the presentation, but maybe you could just go into a little more detail. What do you think are the first steps to integrating a STEM program in your school?
Yeah, I think it's important that you have an idea of what you want to do. So, and how do you get that idea? You visit schools, you research online, you see what other schools are doing with their STEM programs, and then try to integrate some of those components into what you're building in your own school or district. And tapping into the expertise of your staff, hiring the right teacher to teach the class, I think, is important as well. We were very fortunate in our building, or both the buildings that I was in where we had STEM programs, that we had staff members that were already teaching in our buildings that had experience in STEM, and we said, you know what, they would be the right fit, and then just not being afraid to try things. Anytime that teacher would come to myself or a principal, hey, I want to try this in STEM class, and I think allowing them to do that, and if it doesn't work, that's fine. Again, this is easier said than done, giving the teacher the autonomy to do that. I think you have to let them roll with it and see how it goes. As long as we're trying to promote the success of students, I think that's critical. But just being able to take in all that information and move forward, I think, is really important.
Our next question here, Brad, is the strategic plan you mentioned on your last slide specifically for the STEM program?
No, it's not. It can be, a part of your technology program. If you have a technology plan, I think the STEM component needs to be a part of that. But it could also, be its own, because STEM is such a hot commodity now. and can do so many things for kids. I think it's important that you have a plan that is built by a team, by a committee, um, that will help support bringing in resources, help support the curriculum, support the kids, support the teachers, that sort of thing. Um, and it needs to, I think it needs to happen just so you have a vision for the next 3 or 5 years.
And how have you developed buy-in from other departments such as social studies?
Sure, yeah. I think it goes back to having those talented teachers. And we got lucky in both the buildings that I have been in where we had STEM programs, where the STEM teachers, they were certified social studies teachers or certified language arts teachers, or science teachers, and they had that experience and they had that ability to connect with other staff members that respect things and say, hey, you know what? I'm doing this project with robots. Here's what I'm thinking. I know you're teaching about westward expansion in history class. Is there a way for us to work together, to collaborate? And again, it sounds easy, but when you're in it and you're working every day in schools, sometimes that collaboration is not there. So I think it starts with the school leader and supporting those efforts that say, hey, you know what? You want to go collaborate with the social studies teacher? Have at it. Sounds like a great idea. And just turning the keys over, that the keys to your school, the key to your car, to those teachers, to the students, and let them have fun with their learning. I think goes a long way.
So the next question is in regards to African American students. They have a greater underrepresentation in STEM fields, even more so than females. So do you have any experience encouraging that, or have you used the Black Girls Code organization by chance?
I have not, but I have heard of it, and I think we need to, as a society, just continue to focus on what exhausting all options to put students in a position to be successful, so that when they enter the real world, they are responsible and they are contributing to society. And I think it's important that, and I'm seeing it now in schools, they're providing students with an opportunity to learn how to code, to learn about the fields of STEM, to build things, to just explore what is possible, and to you know um, really support that notion of growth mindset and failure and things. And um, I shouldn't it shouldn't matter if you're male, female, black or white, what have you. School leaders should be supporting an environment that is bringing STEM to everybody. That's important, I think. I think you just need to keep moving forward and to just understand who your kids are, who your parents are, what your community is all about, and just tap into the resources that are available to you to help with that STEM program.
It's sort of in line with that same question. Someone mentioned that you talked about introduce a girl to engineering,
Mm-hmm.
and they wondered if you mentioned a specific company or organization to contact.
Yeah, ExxonMobil, I believe, still does it, but they are the ones that are heading that particular program, ExxonMobil.
Okay, our next question is in regards to the Science Olympiad competition, and the question is they're asking if you've ever used this to promote STEM experience.
No, but what we have done is that that's a great program, great initiative. We have one of what we think is one of the largest science fairs, middle school or K-8 science fairs on the East Coast. And over the last few years since we've had the STEM program, we've actually integrated it, highlighted it during the science fair. So basically we have hundreds and hundreds of kids in our district come to the middle school on a Saturday morning and share their science experiments, but we also have all sorts of activities going on. And we had a maker space and we had a STEM space for kids to explore what is possible with STEM. So I think having those sorts of initiatives in your building or in your district really brings the entire school community together and really strengthens the culture of your district and promotes the idea of STEM and its importance in society.
The next question here is in regards to times of day that you've set aside for STEM programming. So the person is asking, do you have any specific times during the week that have worked well for you?
Yeah, so what we've done is we've made it a part of our applied arts. It's a cycled course, so students will receive, will take this STEM course once a marking period, once in the 6th grade, once in 7th grade, and once in 8th grade for 45 days, what have you. Then the other 3 marking periods will have art, they'll have performing arts, and they'll have computer applications. So it's a rotating class. It's during the school day. But then next year we're going to have that makerspace available in the library during certain times of the day. And during the summertime, you offer that STEM camp for students. And our STEM teacher's done a nice job of coming in the morning during his off periods and what have you, and even after school, and just allowing kids to tinker and play and figure out things. So he's a really committed teacher.
Brad, I have a lot of questions coming in on my end, so if you still have
Great.
time, I'm going to just
Yeah.
ask a few more. Someone had mentioned that you talked about Grant Wrangler. Have you used any other sites to secure monies for your STEM programs?
One of the biggest things you can do is use just Google it, and that's how I came across the BASF grant. BASF, as we all know, is a pretty large corporation, worldwide corporation, and I can't remember if I think I came across it on Grant Wrangler, but there's other opportunities as well. If you just Google it, STEM's really big now, and if you just Google STEM grants or school STEM grants, you'll come across many organizations and companies that are not giving away money, but they're trying to find ways to help schools because it's ultimately going to help them out in the long run. And so that's what I suggest people do.
The next question is, we're wondering if you have had any specific tips or experiences that you have used to try and get girls involved with STEM.
Sure. I think just having, your STEM program, your curriculum, your class, an actual STEM class, goes a long way in getting girls and boys excited about STEM. So just making that available is a game changer. And focusing on the virtual aspect of STEM and coding, and having those sorts of clubs. I know elementary schools, actually it's not affiliated with the elementary school, it's actually an outside organization that holds sessions after school for girls, for coding, for STEM. That takes place in our district, and it's not school affiliated, but it is run in our schools. Those organizations are out there. The company Square does a phenomenal job of promoting STEM, particularly with the high school female population. Check them out. Square is the company that makes those things that you plug into your phone and you can swipe the credit card. That's all engineering. That's all coding and things, and that's really important. And they're doing a phenomenal job of trying to get more females involved.
So Brad, the STEM programs you have worked on, have they been mainly elementary school and middle school, or have you been involved in creating any STEM programs specifically for high school?
Mostly middle school and elementary school. But I know high schools are doing some great things. A couple notches ahead of what we're doing. And we are a K district, so we work a little bit with our sending high school, but not too much. But my experience is mostly with elementary and middle school.
So here's a question. Twitter and Google seem to be natural places for student interactions, and they can handle multiple accounts fairly well. And then someone's asking, do you have the creepy treehouse issue with Facebook?
I don't know what that means, creepy treehouse issue. But as we tell our school story through social media, people have been nothing but positive and appreciate classroom teachers or buildings or districts letting them into our world. Because I think often education and educators are misunderstood because sometimes we don't tell our story enough and actually what is going on in our buildings, particularly with STEM. Um, and so being able to share pictures and to share resources and things with people through Twitter or Pinterest or Facebook, our school Facebook page, really goes a long way in supporting our STEM initiatives.
And I think that's what they're referring to
Yeah.
if you had people that were sort of not supportive of using those sites. So
Mm-hmm.
it looks like we have answered most of the questions here. Is there anything else that you wanted to point out before ending the presentation?
No, just I think you got to start somewhere. I think that's where people get lost in the shuffle with anything that they're trying to start is that they're afraid to start. Start somewhere. It could be with a grade level or one class or something, and build upon it. Whether it's you're trying to STEM program or something else, start somewhere and be persistent about it. If you really believe in it, you're passionate about it, be persistent. Go to the people that you know make the decisions, and just continue to say, hey, you know what, this is what's best for kids. And that's the bottom line. STEM is what's best for kids, and getting them to see those connections. That's really important.
All right, well, thank you, Brad, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Um, we're going to end the webinar now, and if you have any additional questions, you can feel free to send them over to info@thinkthroughmath or visit our website at thinkthroughmath.com. And thank you for attending. Have a good day.